You're welcome back to The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. My name is Francis Aban. Now, the family of a 30-year-old man who was shot and killed by military men during an operation at Kasoa Millennium City last year are demanding the immediate arrest of the alleged perpetrators. Michael Darko died of gunshot wounds in the head. The soldiers had moved to the area on a request of property developer Kofi Asma of Kwan's estate, who is claiming portions of land that was under development there. An internal inquiry has cleared the soldiers of any wrongdoing, but the military say it has handed over the matter to the police for further investigations. Let's hear from the chief of the area, who was unhappy about developments from last year, the Zongo chief of Goma Bantama, Sali Kutahiru. He says the residents have been living in fear since that day when the man was shot.
He should be forwarded to the finest and the finest of all. We want him to be prosecuted. You send soldiers in for them to come and do what? Cause that atrocity. We are not happy about what happened, but we can't force the government. Ours is to pray so that peace will prevail. Because sometimes in life, a time ago, something happened in the north. A Guinea fire brought a problem between two tribes. How more killing somebody's family? But what we're praying for right now is that we want the truth, who is the best vindication against every slander, should be out. We pray that Kudola will hold this, Mr. Kudola, who is the IGP, should hold this man responsible. And the government who will be coming into power, we want them to also forward the case. The man have been demolishing buildings without court order. I'm saying it always. It will get a point of time. We will face them. Police will come, soldiers will come. But to get a point of time, everybody would like to sacrifice his life for his property. I'm saying this all the time, but we thank God. We thank God that what's the name? The IGP have proven us wrong. Proven us wrong is not up to the fullest yet. We want him to prosecute the man, so we know there's law in this country.
The truth of Islam.
Yes. Yeah, what we're seeking is justice. Everybody wants justice. But sometimes if you don't have peace, you can't have justice. This man doesn't own any land here. Here it's not Goma Bantama. What they've sold to him is Goma Budubura. 300 acres. And he blowed it to 3,000 acres. Fine, the chief said, go, take that land. But don't what? Don't encroach any land anymore. But he did. Up to SNL, there are, let's say, Buduruan Palace, he have registered it. Niano Palace, he registered it. Yesu Krum, he registered it. Goma Bantama, my palace here is even registered.
In his name.
In his name. How come? Even you know in Ghana here, before you register a land, there's an approximate land you need to register. Which you need to be given to an estate developer. Even before registration, you need to do what? Put into a graphic, or you should publish for 21 days before registration, because there are a lot of people who encroach or source or who have built on that land. But this man abides by the new law. And he made a statement clearly that the IGP, because he has no respect for the IGP, so he said the IGP is the leader of the vanguard. I think you and I know the IGP is not a vanguard. With his age and his position, how much more does he want on this earth? So I beg this government, and the government who will be coming to power, they should hold this man responsible. They should take him by surprise.
Okay. Well, the brother of the deceased, Samuel Darko, tells Joy News several petitions to the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General's office over the issue have yielded no results.
How many years?
1 year. It happened in September 3rd. And from September 3rd, 2015 till now is 1 year, 3 months. And since the issue happened, we've not heard anything from anybody, being it the military or the police. For the police, they say they are still doing their investigation. And for the military, we've not heard a word from them. We've gone to see how far their investigations have gone, but still. So there is nothing new. It looks like somebody has just killed somebody just like that. Very, very disappointed. Very disappointed because I've been in the country for a while. At least I know what people have been persecuted for many things. And then somebody goes to steal even a goat and the person is persecuted. Why is it that one has taken another man's life and we have not seen anything, as if no human being has been killed. So I'm very disappointed.
Who did that?
From our sources, we know it's one Kofi Asma who brought in military to enforce his demolition of buildings, which he has been doing for a long time now. But this time around, he brought military men to enforce it. And in their quest to do all of that, they shot an innocent person.
What I'm saying is, my big brother have said it all, but for now we are looking forward to the government to
these have actually been to the police headquarters, specifically the homicide unit at the police CID headquarters, to meet the investigators who are handling this particular issue. Now, they've been giving them updates on how far they've gone with the processes. The police have been explaining to them that so far, out of the 23 military persons who were actually in the area on the day the incident happened and were alleged to have been involved in the shooting incident, have actually been brought to the police headquarters here and questioned by the police investigators. And so they've taken statements from them, but the investigation is a continued process. Out of the 23 people, they've questioned 22 of them. One of them is actually on retirement, and this said individual is someone that they've not been able to question yet. And so the police are that is ongoing. One thing that they've asked the chiefs and the family to do is that they want eyewitnesses who were present on the day that the incident happened. And so they've given them up to next week, Wednesday, that next week, Wednesday, when they come in around, they should bring some of the people who were there themselves when the incident happened, apart from one of the chiefs himself who actually came to the police headquarters, and get this person to also give out his statement so that then it would help with their continued investigation. The police have been insisting that they are not actually sleeping on this particular case, but that the investigations are ongoing, and they explain that they're asking for some additional details on the case. And so there's a letter that's been prepared that's supposed to go to the military high command. And so the key people here at the police CID headquarters are supposed to endorse the said letters, after which they will be dispatched to the military high command to get some additional details. But the investigators tell me that one thing that they've been able to conclude on is that the said gentleman died of gunshot wounds. But what they are still continuing their investigation to get to the bottom of is actually who exactly shot the said bullet, and that's why they are still interrogating the said military officers in question.
Okay, and what's been the response from the family who sent the petition and were initially unhappy about the pace of investigations?
They still remain very unhappy. They make the point that they think that this particular investigation has actually dragged for far too long. Samuel Dakon, who is actually the junior brother of the gentleman who was shot, that's Michael Dakon, has been explaining to me that the family, for example, have not been able to overcome the loss yet, because at a point in time they had decided that they were not going to bury their brother until the police had concluded their investigation, the military had concluded their investigation, and that some finality would have been brought to bear on this. But looking at how their family people, particularly their mother, was taking this, then they were forced to expedite the process and get the burial and everything done. And so they think that more than 1 year after the incident happened, they think that the police should have gotten to the bottom of this and actually come up with the necessary recommendations for possible prosecutions. And that's all that they are asking for, that the said persons be brought to justice. But they think that justice in this case has delayed for far too long, and they are not happy with it.
All right, thank you, Joseph, for that update on that. From Kasoa, Millennium City. We recall that a little over a year ago, we brought you that story of a gentleman who was shot in the midst of some protest over development in Kasoa, Millennium City. That's the update we have for you. The police say they are still continuing with the investigations, more interrogations are needed before any conclusion can be arrived at as regards this matter. We'll keep an eye on this story and bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. Now, tonight at 6:30 p.m., I want you to sit behind your screens and watch a certain documentary. It speaks to a problem we see every day, but we gloss our eyes over. It's about the toxic smokes that are on the rise in this country. It's premiering tonight, but I just thought you would have to watch this to tease your interest.
Hard work, pulling nets with hopes the day's catch would be worth the toil. Welcome to New Takoradi, a big fishing community on Ghana's west coast. I've come here to meet the hundreds of women who are the backbone of this fishing industry, smoking and selling fish. Middle-aged Ama Amwaba has been smoking fish all her life. She depends on it for a living with her 3 children. But the toxic smoke that she suffers from the activity is now putting her life on the line. She now suffers a lung infection that makes it difficult breathing.
No, I shall know I'm on and I'm there, you to me and Jay. A mayor was now I'm Kowisu, and made it didn't know Madame Kowisu, and me feel no harm. Namoko Hospital.
Ama is just one of thousands of women who are bearing the brunt for household air pollution, mainly from the use of inefficient cook stoves. Nearly 17,000 Ghanaians die every year as a result of inhaling toxic smoke.
With the current oven that they are using, it consumes a lot of firewood. It means you need to spend more on the firewood. And apart from your health, the only thing is the firewood. You need to spend more of it. And you know, when you go to the communities who have the wetland around their area, they cut the mangroves from the wetland and use it to smoke fish, which also affecting our wetland. It means we are degrading our wetland, and you know our fish stocks go and bleed in that wetland. Most of them go there, and we have a time that they move to the sea. And yes, so if we are degrading the wetland, it means a gradual process. We are telling all our fish that's coming spawned in the wetland to move to the sea.
The result of inefficient cook stoves in Ghana goes beyond the health of people. With more than 70% of Ghanaian households relying on fuel wood for cooking, the impact on the country's forest is now at alarming levels, with more than a third of the forest cover lost over the last 2 decades alone. Call it the firewood workshop and you wouldn't be far from the reality. In this community alone, there are hundreds of spaces like this one where truckloads of firewood are broken down into pieces just to smoke fish. And this is one of the many reasons why Ghana has lost nearly a third of its forest cover in the last 20 years alone. The increase in toxic smoke, depleting forests, and lives that are now under threat as a result are just a few of the many problems that contribute to climate change. And with the world now talking about ways of reversing the trend, the country must now see this as an urgent problem worth a serious attention. Justice Bedu, Joy News, New Takoradi.
Well, joining me in the studio is the man who put together this documentary that will be premiered tonight at 6:30 p.m. Justice Bedu. Justice, always a pleasure seeing reports that highlights the things that I think many people take for granted on a regular. But what piqued your interest into this one?
So it's something that has really been looked at in this country, how smokes and toxic waste is affecting the lives of many. Like from the report, as many as 17,000 people dying every year only because they work in such environment where there's so nearly 50% of deaths in children under 5 years is related to the effect of smokes and household pollution. And so in this two-piece documentary, what I've done is to look at people mainly in agro-processing businesses like gari processing, fish smoking, shea butter making, and all of that, and to find out what their stories are in terms of how they get energy for their work, and also how they are going to make how to be able to adopt improved cook stoves that would make them work in more a much healthier environment that also boost their business activities. And so we've had support from the Dutch development organization SNV, which is part of their project that seeks to introduce improved cook stoves that would help women mainly who are involved in such sectors.
Okay, now ordinarily, I know pollution is a big deal. EPA should be interested in this, but what are we supposed to do? At the end of this documentary, what kind of action should we see happen?
So there are many things. There's the bit about how it affects the health of people. There's the bit about how the toll that the fact that we are using more fuel wood is having on the country's forest resources. Over the last 20 years, a third of Ghana's forest has been lost because people are cutting down a lot of firewood and mainly going into inefficient cook stoves like the ones that we have, the 3-stone cook stoves, which are used mainly in this country. We have more than 70% of the people in this country use such cook stoves in cooking, and we can't live without cooking. And so what this documentary is trying to do is, first of all, highlight the issue that this is a big problem, and to say that yes, but there's also a solution, which is the use of efficient cook stoves, which are available. And so,
but are they affordable?
And that's the other part that this we raise in this documentary. And so the two-part film, first of all, highlights the issue. The other part is also highlighting some of the solutions that the SNV is working on, which is working with financial institutions that are granting credit to mainly women who are involved in gari processing, fish smoking, to be able to purchase these things on credit. But of course, it is not enough. More needs to be done, more investment needs to be done into private entrepreneurs who are pioneering these cook stoves. And so governments needs to come in to help individuals. And of course, we just really need to highlight the issue and get more people to be aware that this is the problem, but there's a solution available, and we all need to be part of the solution.
All right, thank you, Justice. And footnotes to this, you went to a gari processing person, a fish person. Did you bring any goodies?
Of course.
Including the Auna Gari, which I love so much.
Yeah, even Pito.
Pito.
Yes.
We'll talk about that after the break. But thank you, Justice, for that. So tonight, 6:30 p.m., you don't have to miss it. It's Deadly Smokes is airing. Grab that seat, sit down and watch it. You will be enlightened by the time it's done. Now, just before we go for our break before sports, I thought I'll fill you in with this report that will sum up the mood after the elections. There's one song that's keeping all of us nodding our head, enjoying it, but it's one that, if some people hear it, they get pretty pissed. Jennifer Kermo has more in this report.
It started as a catchy NDC campaign song, but has now become a popular track that has crossed the political divide.
Unapo, mama unapo, mama unapo, mama unapo. Unapo, mama unapo, mama unapo, mama unapo. Unapo,
But how did the defeated party's song become an anthem that's topping the charts across the country and is played at clubs, parties, and even churches and wedding receptions?
I think in churches is not necessary, because how can you use such a song in churches and be saying Jehovah Unapo?
The voice of the Ghanaians is now being represented by the song Unapo. That's why it is being heard everywhere. regardless of anything, you understand? We can have our differences, but when it comes to partying, we can all party together to show people that, you know, shall we forget about what we did. We are all the same.
I went to a wedding quite recently and somebody requested that song as their main official dance. So everybody was going crazy. I even danced myself.
So I guess what Ghanaians can expect this Christmas is...
Oh, this Christmas, I think everybody should, you know, watch out for this owner. We should all embrace this owner, but use it to celebrate the Christmas, that's all.
How a campaign song can get all the traction in times like this. Creativity sometimes shines in the midst of all the chaos and politicking.